Okay, first of all, we just want to say on behalf of your Nutrition Club committee, me and Dan and your UK leadership, we are so proud of yous. So proud of yous. And you know what? This weekend, oh, hi, Mr. Jarvis. This weekend, we are going to, number one, have so much fun. Number two, we are going to come together and learn. And number three, come Monday morning, you are going to go back into your club and you are going to spread the word. Are you in, Michelle? Okay, now, my section tonight, we are going to hit the ground running. So you need your pad and pen. I need you to take your pin off, put it to one side, and we are going to grow and learn together. So I need to know that you are with me. So Friday Night Leadership, are you in the room? We've got loads to get through, but tonight in particular, I'm really going to get naked, okay? And what I mean by that, okay, is I'm just going to go all in. I'm going to share everything that we do, as much that we can give you. I'm not saying that I've got it totally figured out, neither is Dan, but I'm going to show you how we've built royalties, okay? So I need you to come on this journey with us for the next 2 days. And tonight in particular, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to go through is just personal experience. I'm going to share what we've been doing, what we've learned, the things that we got wrong, the things that have massively given us breakthroughs. And I just want you to sit and take notes, and I just want you to enjoy it. There's no judgment. There's no expectation from me. I just want you to learn. So is that okay with everyone? Okay, so this is what I've been asked to share. The first thing is, I'm going to be taking you through how do you build a supervisor royalty machine. Because who likes to play games? Okay, let's try one more time. Who likes to play games? Okay, because we are going to enter into the best game of your life. And the game is how to build royalties. So tonight I'm going to be covering this, okay? Take as much as you can, but as well as playing the game and building the machine that produces royalties, I'm then going to share with you what have we been doing the last 4.5 years that really has enabled us to build independent leaders through Breakfast Budget Club. We call them the Starting Point Junior Partner, and then go out and duplicate. So this is what we're going to cover. Now, we've been asked for us to share our stats. And this is one thing I'm going to say to you. In these next 2 days, if you listen, if you follow exactly what we tell you to do, then we can teach you how to build royalties. If you decide to take bits of this, bits of that, what Radhika was saying, then we can't give you that. Does everyone understand that? So what's important is as we go through the next 2 days, I want you to listen carefully, maybe think about where your business is at this moment in time, and what are the gaps that you need to fill, okay? And I'm going to come back to this slide. Now, let's just start really quickly sharing my story. Now, tomorrow you are going to hear me and Dan. We're going to share our story in more detail, but in a nutshell, I got introduced to Herbalife first. Background is in personal training and health club management. I was 7 months pregnant with our first son, Joe, and I was in around £30,000 worth of debt because I'd had my home repossessed. I was in a job I didn't like. I was working around 70 hours a week, and that was literally just to pay my bills and debt. That was before food, that was before anything to do with social, that was before even putting some money to one side because we were about to be a brand new mum and dad. We were working paycheck to paycheck. And I don't know if anyone can relate to that, but when you're in a lot of debt, you become consumed by it. Everything you do, everything you think about, you have anxiety standing in the queue in the supermarket when you're about to buy your shopping. You know, the electricity needs paying. Everything becomes consuming. And that was definitely me and Dan. When I got involved in Herbalife, I was a skeptic. 7 times, a guy called Jez asked me, would I be interested in joining his team? And he actually went down the business opportunity route. And if I'm honest, when he got to the 7th time, I felt like throttling him. Because I was like, don't you understand? I'm heavily pregnant. I'm in debt. I'm working 70 hours a week. How do I physically have the time to start a new business? I don't even have the emotion or the energy space. And it was when he changed what he said, and this is your first clue to building royalties, write this down. He said, Foxy, because that's what they call me. Can I practice a free wellness evaluation on you? Will you be a guinea pig? First of all, I was quite insulted. I thought he was calling me an animal. I was like, a guinea pig? And he said, can I practice? And do you know what? Being his mate, I was like, of course, no problem, because what you do for your friends, you support them. And that was when everything changed. And to fast forward, and I'll go through this tomorrow, you know, I got started first. I started using the products. Absolutely loved the way I could fuel my body, working on the go. I then thought, you know what, I want some discounts. I listened into an opportunity meeting, signed up as a Herbalife member, and then I had a call with a guy called Nick Jarvis. And I remember on this call speaking to Nick, and Nick was asking me about, you know, why I got involved and how much time did I have and, you know, how serious was I to change my life? And I was like, I'm dead serious. And Nick was like, okay, fantastic. If you're serious, you need to go to the meeting. And I was like, yeah, no problem. Where's the meeting? I'm there. And he said, Barcelona. And I remember thinking, is he for real? I've just told him I'm in debt. I'm 7 months pregnant. How am I going to get to Barcelona? And I remember pausing, and Nick said, but Claire, you said you were serious. And I was like, okay, let's find a way. And you know what? I remember coming back and speaking to Dan, and Dan's always been my biggest cheerleader. So Dan, I'm so grateful for that. And I remember Dan saying to me, we'll make it happen. We'll just find a way. If you truly believe this is the right thing, then do it. And I went to my first event in Extravaganza in 2011. There was all these mad people wired on Thermo T. They were all like chest pumping and kissing each other, and they were hugging. And there was all these stories coming across the stage. And I remember thinking, wow, this is weird, but I love it. Don't know what it is. I don't know how to do it, but I'm in. And I was in because I felt the energy, and I was in because I heard the testimonials. And I remember coming back from that event and just thinking, do you know what? I don't really know what this is, but I can feel it. I'm teachable. I'm hardworking. You know, in my career, I was never frightened of getting up early and doing long days to be successful. And I thought, if I can just channel that into this Herbalife thing, yeah, maybe I can be successful. And that's what I did. For the first year, I did it from home. And then by year 2, and we'll go into this tomorrow, but me and Dan had set up a business that was Dan's plan B to get out of the corporate bank rat race as a corporate banker. And we'd set up this cleaning company, and our situation massively changed. We were at a crossroads. And that was the point when Dan got involved. And I remember at that point, we said, okay, let's really commit to this. Let's build this around our full-time job. Joseph was around 1 year old by now. And let's really go to work. And for us, it definitely was about building something that would release us from our full-time jobs. And the business exploded. And you know what? We really thought we'd made it. We really did. We had no pathway, though. When I look back, we went to millionaire in 2 years. We had no structure. We weren't even really a part of a mission. We were just doing this thing. That's the only way I can describe it. We also, as well, when I look back, we had no leadership development program because the business just exploded and we were just like, go, 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 go. We also, as well, were massively bringing in our circle of influence, our friends and our family. We had no idea that at some point that was probably going to dry up, and we hammered it hard. We went for it. And no sooner did we go to Mill Team, the business starts to come backwards. And I don't know if anyone who's been around for a long time or who's been in this situation, but because we had no pathway, no weekly training structure, we weren't clear what we were doing, we had no leadership program, the check started to come backwards, and we ignored it. And we just kept saying, everything's going to be okay. We'll just work harder. We'll just go out and have more conversations. We just need to recruit more people. And as the check went backwards, we entered what we call now the President's Team Boot Camp. And that was 6 to 7 years of struggling, carrying shame, feeling defeated, coming to events. And I almost felt like every time I came to the event, I'd have to put this mask on and pretend everything was okay. And do you know what? I was really good at it. I could show up at the event, I had energy, and inside I used to feel like crying. And I remember Dan almost dragging me there saying, we will not quit. And I remember the leadership in the UK. I remember Fiona having calls with Dan. Dan was in our bedroom, broken. Fiona was coaching him. I know Justin and Laura, they were reaching out. Matt Elliott, if you're in the room, I remember sitting on our path and you having really strong words with me. You kept me in the business at that point because I was out, and I'm so grateful for that. And then everything changed. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Because you will never meet a family like Herbalife people. They have got your back no matter what. And I remember when it changed and we went to Seville, we both couldn't afford to go, and I went first. And I remember sitting in the room, and Radhika, we are so grateful, because for the first time ever, I heard maybe how we fitted in Herbalife. Radhika gave me belief that all them skills that we had in our profession, in our businesses, in our careers, we could bring them into Herbalife, and we could build a business that had growth, sustainability, structure, was purpose-driven. I could see it. And it was the first time in years that I thought, oh my goodness, we can do this. And I can remember going home and speaking to Dan, and I was like, Dan, we're going to open a nutrition club. Dan was like, we're definitely not. And I was like, no, Dan, you don't understand. This is going to change our life. And he was like, yeah, I do understand, and we're not doing it. And I was like, no, Dan, I'm going to Ireland. He's like, what are you going to Ireland for? And I said, we need to research clubs. Radhika said, he said, if I hear one more time what Radhika said. And I was like, no, but you don't understand. Radhika said, we've got to do our research. So we're going to spend 6 months researching clubs. And that's what we did. Massive, massive thank you to the Irish team in the room, because you opened your hearts and doors to us. So we came back from Ireland after researching clubs, and you know, one of the big things for us was we did our research. There was so many different nutrition club versions out there globally. Anything that we could watch, we watched. Anyone we could speak to. But we knew the biggest thing after speaking to Nick was we had to get professional. We'd spent years in Herbalife being amateurs. We had an amateur approach. We had amateur work ethic when I look at it now. We had amateur mindset of what we were looking to create. And I remember Nick saying, a massive thank you, Nick. Well, it was like a slap in the face. He said, Claire and Dan, if you're serious about being successful, whatever way you're going to rebuild this, you have to look in the mirror. You have to look in the mirror, and you have to get used to being uncomfortable. That has to become the new norm. You also have to get used to challenging yourself and knowing that this is going to be hard work. And do you know what? At that moment, through Radhika and Nick bringing us together, me and Dan were all in. We were all in. We also as well knew at that moment that we wanted to build a business that unlocked all 5 income streams. And what was funny was I only ever thought there was 4. And when I heard there was a 5, I thought this game gets even better. I mean, and then we started to research, well, what was the fifth income stream? And we started to hear about the Mark Hughes bonus. And I was like, well, me and Dan were like, we want a little bit of that. So then we started to go, okay, we really need to set that intention that we build a business model that unlocks all five. Why play half a game? I mean, if we're going to go in, we might as well go all big. And that was what we started to do. But the number one thing was about building a business with growth and sustainability. We were not in it for speed. We were in it for professional royalty growth. Write that down, there's a difference, professional royalty growth. We then started to talk about, okay, we need to have a mission. And I remember Dan saying, every big successful company has a mission. And Radhika had spoken about this in Seville. So we started to create and our mission become clear. We were going to help 10,000 people to get healthier. And we were going to be purpose-driven. We then thought, okay, well, we need the how. If we're going to help 10,000, we need to create a very clear vision. And remember, we wanted all 5 income streams. So we needed to build a business that yet built royalty, but also as well, we were able to do duplication because we knew we were capped with how many people we could help on our own. So we set a big vision to create 100 profitable breakfast budget clubs, and that was it, and we called that Club 100. Now, what I'm going to share now is the 5 things that we learned have really helped us to create a supervisor machine, a royalty building machine. And I want you to go into this section and just think with your business at this moment in time, what have you got in place? And maybe where are the areas that you've got gaps? Is everyone with me on that? You're all looking very serious. Am I talking too fast? Still with me? Okay, great. So these are the 5 things that I'm going to cover. We're going to talk about having a vision. We're then going to talk about what's your vehicle, because you need a vehicle to move people into the marketing plan. We're then going to talk about the pathway, and we're going to talk about the weekly training structure and the career ladder to build leaders. And I'm going to share what were our insights along the way and what have been our breakthroughs. But the biggest thing is clarity. Write that down. When you have laser clarity, then you become limitless. And every single one of you in this room are limitless. Tonight, I give you permission to join our mission because each and every one of you are in mine and Dan's organization. Together, we are going to create royalties and make an impact. All good? Okay. So my question to you is, what is your vision? What is it that you are looking to create? For us, it was the 100 profitable clubs. But straight away, you have to ask yourself, are you looking to build a retail club? Good cash flow. We all like cash flow, but that's one income stream. Or are you looking to build an academy club that produces royalties? There's a difference. Because from day one, I don't care if you've been in the business and you're a junior partner and you've been in 3 months, 6 months, 6 years, 20 years, I'm asking you the question, what is your intention? Because what you set now for what you create will become your reality. All still with me? Okay. Now for us, we decided that we wanted to make the game interesting. So we had to go at mapping out the marketing plan, and we were like, okay, based on the business unit, speaking to Dan, listening to Radhika, speaking to Nick, how many profitable clubs would we need to move up the marketing plan? Because if I could sit down with someone like Grace and Gav and go, right, okay, where do you want to get to on the marketing plan? And they say, President's team, I have clarity of how many profitable clubs they need to build in order to make that a reality. Are you all still with me? Okay, brilliant. Now, the next thing is you need your vehicle. And this is really important because, over the years, and I'm going to say this with tongue in cheek, loads of people said to us when we were open 7 till 11, why don't you have a lunchtime club too? Nick's laughing. And then it was like, why don't you, Fi's laughing, why don't you open your club overnight? And straight away, me and Dan were like, no. And I'll tell you why it was no, Quentin. Because we always knew that we were looking to attract people who wanted to do what we did. And how good is this? We're looking for club owners who work 6 mornings a week, 7 till 11, and with hard work, commitment, you can earn between £4,000 and £8,000 a month. Does that sound good to you? Okay. There's a difference. Whereas if I say to you, and you've got to go out every night, and it's 14-hour days, why is Rita going to want to leave? She's a professional. A full-time job. She's got a career, fairly good pay. The attraction's not there. Because remember, we want to go big. We want 100 profitable clubs. But we want to find 100 people to repeat that vision. Are you all still with me? Okay, brilliant. Woo! Yes. Now, let me just go back to this because Radhika touched on some of this, and this is important, and Jeb mentioned it. You're going to hear the detail around the Breakfast Budget Club vehicle, but there's one thing for me and Dan. It's a training ground to find club owners. And what the club enables you to do, front loading the day, is to impact the efficiency of everything. Impact the efficiency of working with customers, finding people to join the team, getting results, maxing out referrals. Because we want to work smart. Yes, we work hard, but it's about efficiency of the system. Does everyone get that? And this is really important. So you have to make sure that your intention doesn't stay as a retail club with an academy. So I'm going to ask you, is your club retail or academy? Which one do you want? Shout it out. Which one do you want? I didn't hear you. Which one do you want? Are you willing to work for it? Are you willing to listen? Are you willing on Monday morning to go back into your club and perform like a supervisor? I'm getting really hot. I think like the thermo and the lift-off's kicking in. That was the thermo you gave me before, Adika. Now, the next thing is, out of these 5 things you need to build the machine, is we understood that we needed a pathway. How do we move people from customer to supervisor? And this was a game changer for us. I remember going to Extravaganza, and Dan's going to laugh about this now. And Quentin gets on stage, and do you remember you come out with a trumpet? I mean, Quentin, I just loved that, because I was like, oh my God, this guy. And he started showing these circles on a diagram. And what Quentin was showing was a flow. And we were like, we get the circles. We don't have any circles. And I was going to Dan, we don't have a flow. Like, we just don't have anything like that. And Dan was like, we need to become like Quentin. And I was like, yeah, you get your trumpet out, I'll draw the circles. And I say that in jest because we were inspired and we identified a blank. So we started to work on the pathway, and this weekend, you are going to be trained on every step of the pathway. But the biggest thing that was a game changer for us was we had to put people through the pathway ourselves. We were never going to go into our organization and test pilot on a load of people. We had to do it first. We had to get into production. And a couple of things, and the guys on stage have said it. The green blob is all about connecting and an activity. Yeah? The red arrow is a conversation. And what's important is if you want duplication and you want to build this machine to people to supervise, people have to have clarity. They need a very simple checklist at each part of the green steps. What do I do? Okay? They then need to know, what do I say to move to the next bit? And the only way that you get better at that is by pushing people through the pathway and practicing it over and over. The next thing is we identified 2 key parts on the pathway, and write this down. Number 1 was we needed a specific point when we would invite people to look at the opportunity. And for us, it was on the 2-week review. We had a checklist and a specific script of how do you invite someone to listen into the ambassador meeting. Because it wasn't just about driven on personality and us remembering. We wanted to teach thousands of people to do this. Because the whole purpose of the pathway is to move people into the marketing plan. Because that's the game. And when we got clarity on that and we started to teach it, we were doing it. More people were doing it. More people were doing it. Recruitment was going up and supervisors started to rise. And then the next part was when people listened into the ambassador meeting, it was getting clear that there's a place for everyone and you have to find out where they fit. We spent years trying to make everyone be a president's team member. Whereas by building relationships and finding out and meeting them where they're at, do they want to be an ambassador just ordered at a discount, connect, relationship and retain? Or do they want to join the trainee coach program, connect, help put money in the pocket? Or do they want to go on to possibly be a business builder? That was the biggest game changer of not burning people out. And by the way, when we started to teach that, our club started to fill and we started to retain. When people felt safe and they trusted us, they started to refer and it started to grow. But that's your machine. And I want you to remember that when you go into this weekend. Now, the next thing was that in order to move people through, we had to have a training structure. But the training structure initially was down to me and Dan putting people on it. We had to show our team that we needed to breed supervisors ourselves. We needed a place also to start the process to develop leaders. So the training ground for these new leaders, getting people involved in sharing the testimonial, being on panels on the academy, training on the products was the first foundation of getting these people ready. And a lot of the people you're going to see on stage this weekend, they started on them calls as customers. They then went on to the ambassador and shared the testimonial. They then went on to academy and they were on a panel, terrified. And now this weekend you're going to see them on stage training. That is nourishing people's potential. Are you all still with me? Yeah? Okay. Now, number 5, and this was the big game changer, and I'm going to share a little bit more on this, was the career ladder. For years we've been involved and we always struggled to develop leaders and to develop through. And when we were first introduced to the career ladder, I loved it because I could relate to it, if I'm honest, from a working environment. In the fitness industry, we would have in a club, a manager, then we'd have an assistant manager, then we'd have a senior personal trainer on the floor, then we'd have an instructor, and we would move people through by promoting them. So when we were introduced to the career ladder, I was like, oh my goodness, Dan, I can see how we can develop people to go on and open clubs. But there was one thing with the career ladder. The only way that we were going to perfect it was by focusing on our personal production. And if I can give you anything from my training tonight, is that if you want to build royalties, you have to have your personal production minimum 7,000 to 15,000 plus, because that means you're taking responsibility for your business, bringing people into the funnel and moving them through the pathway, because the supervisors are a percentage for them new people that you're bringing in. And for us, we started to figure out the numbers through tracking, and you might want to write this down. In order to create an active world team business, and we've tracked this, you're talking 3 new people a week, 3 new customers, bringing them through the pathway. Have we got that? Active world team, how many new customers a week? Didn't hear you. How many a week? Okay, great stuff. To create a global expansion team business, it's 5. To create a global expansion team business, how many? Well done. And this weekend, we're going to show you how to do that through making your business, write this down, 80% referrals. Because what we've learned in clubs, it's an environment to thrive, referrals. If you rely on circle of influence, then you will run out of people. Your business becomes limited. For us, working the referral process, we're going to teach you what to say, how to say it, we're going to role play it. And it's not just at one part of the pathway, it's at every single green bubble. Did we hear that? Every single green bubble. And then these are some, numbers that I want you to look at, and you can screenshot this if you want. For us, remember, it was a game, and it still is. We wanted to create this machine that was kicking out the numbers. And what we started to realize through tracking the business over the first 3 years is by following this model to the letter, not changing anything, these were some of the numbers of the pin changes. So if you started to consistently pop this amount of new supervisors per month in a 12-month period, these were the pins that started to be created. And you need gauges to understand what your intention is and how you're going to get there. Are you all still with me? Okay, now, the best part of it is we identified the first 2 years, we were just doing activity and moving people through. And we were just hoping we were going to grow. And the first year, I remember getting so frustrated. I was like, it's not working. The royalties aren't growing. And I was having a proper meltdown. Spoke to Nick, me and Dan, and Nick was just like, you have to keep going. You have to keep going. And then the penny dropped. And I was like, we've only been doing it a year. How long does it take to create a supervisor? Now, back then, our skills were a little bit rusty. We hadn't quite perfected it. So the birth of new supervisors was taking a little bit longer. But as we put more people through the system, we got sharper, we got better, we got the checklist, we could teach others. We then started to realize to create a new supervisor, you were talking on average 3 to 4 months. So then I started to be more professional, and so did Dan, in our attitude towards the machine and the respect to building a royalty with growth and sustainability. It was a penny drop moment because 1 year in, we wanted the royalty growth, but we got to the point where we understood it was going to take time. So then we started going, okay, well, we need to get confident in tracking, is this machine kicking out what we wanted? So we started to use BizWorks, and this was a game changer for us because once we started to do it, we were able to work with our club owners and junior partners. So we started using BizWorks, and I'm not techie, okay? I'm definitely not, but I like to play the game, okay? So we started looking at BizWorks using the new organizational analysis, and this is what I want you to think about. You're in here because you're meant to be. You're not here by chance. You made a decision. And after this event, everything you learn, we're going to become professionals in Breakfast Budget Club. And as part of that, as one big group, we're going to start tracking our organizational analysis. How many new supervisors are we producing a month? And it might take a time to get your machine well-oiled, yeah? But we're going to keep putting people through and working them through the pathway. And for us, we always look at 3 levels because we know that's royalty. And for us, and we're a little bit further down the line, we look at all levels because we want to look at duplication all the way through. Is everyone still with me on that? Now, you've got your machine. Now let's look at, once we're pumping people through, we've now got to get super, super strong on developing leaders and duplicating. And a big game changer for us was the Junior Partner Mentorship program on the career ladder. The first thing was, though, we identified 2 blockages by year 2 of building this model. The first blockage was the trainee coach, because we had lots of people as trainee coaches, especially in our club. Our club's called Grassendale. And there was a minimum requirement. Anne-Marie's going to cover this in more detail tomorrow on the career ladder. But there's a minimum requirement as a trainee that in order to build your business within our club, you need to commit to 1 full shift a week, which is 7 till 11, or you can do 2 half shifts, 7 till 9 or 9 till 11. And let's say we had Rita in our club, and Rita's doing 1 shift a week, and Rita was smashing it. She was loving club. She had a great result. She was telling all her mates, her family and friends, referrals like crazy. And Rita was getting up to like 25 club members. But then Rita is going off to work. And me and Dan and the other coaches were left in the club looking after all Rita's customers. And Rita's business is growing, and Rita starts earning round about, say, an extra £1,500 a month to £1,800. But she's only doing 4 hours a week. And then me and Dan were like, there's something flawed in this. Something's not right. We have to get smarter. Because then when I was speaking to Rita saying, Rita, your business is on fire. Have you seen this? Would you be interested in becoming a club owner? She was like, no thanks, Claire. I'm quite enjoying my £24,000 a year pay rise for doing 4 hours a week. And Rita couldn't see the big vision of residual income. And she doesn't want to get uncomfortable, because go back 24 hours before you joined Herbalife. If someone allowed you to do this amount of work for this amount of income, would you be happy? So we were like, okay, we need a flag. We can't repeat this. We're looking for club owners. Because remember, we've only got 100 spaces in our club with breakfast budget clubs. And if Rita's taken up 25 and she's got no intention in becoming a club owner, we've only got 75 spaces to find the next club owner. We're screwed. So we started to say, okay, once someone got to 10 to 15, we needed to have a connection chat with them and find out what it is that they want, where did they want to go with it. And we had to present with them the opportunity of the mentorship program to become a club owner. And that was a game changer for us, because what that enabled us to do was to stay with our eyes on the prize, which is duplicating clubs. We needed them spaces for people who wanted to go on and graduate as a club owner. Does that make sense? And then when people got to 10 to 15, and if Rita said, do you know what, Radhika? It's not for me. I just want to be part-time. I was like, no problem. I absolutely love having you in club. So right now, we're going to look after these 10 to 15 people. But anyone new you bring in, they need to go in the online club. Because we need these spaces for people who want to go on and duplicate with an academy. Is that okay with you? And guess what? Rita was cool with that. She got it. And this is so important, because the trap we got into was letting trainee coaches build and build and build, taking up these 100 places, but they had no intention of leaving the job, duplicating, and moving out of our club within 3 to 6 months, so we were stuck. Does everyone get that? So 10 to 15 customers is vital. It's the trigger to have a conversation. Now, the next thing was we identified that we were bringing in junior partners who wanted to go on and have their own club, but we couldn't get rid of them. And one of them was called Grace Turney, and you're going to hear from her this weekend. And she was building within our club, and she was building Michelle and building it. Do you know what? She had all the great attributes. She had attitude. She was positive. She was a go-getter. She was fantastic on the floor. She had big vision. But when she was ready to move out, when she had a certain amount of people, she goes to me and Dan, I've been thinking, I think I'm going to stay a little bit longer. Dan was like, no, you're not. You've got 2 weeks and you're out. But we identified that we had to get clarity on the role. So we started to look at really refining the junior partner program of what did it consist of, what was the requirements. And when we started to document it, so we had it actually wrote down, then we were on the same page with these junior partners, that we knew when we were bringing them in, we could have clarity of, this is the requirement, this is what we're going to be doing. But on the next step, this is what we're going to build in the safety net of our club. We're going to help you build a club within our club where you can learn and grow the skills and the mindset. You can build 30 to 40 club members, 2 to 3 serious trainees, but it's a temporary position. Write this down. It is 3 to 6 months. And I'm going to be honest with you. Within 3 to 6 months, they need to move out. Because if you keep them longer than 6 months, and we've learned this, we changed it to 12 months, the junior partner gets way too comfortable. The culture of the club becomes that people stick rather than moving through the career ladder and graduating and moving out. Do you understand that? So it's important that your junior partners know that, number one, they're selected by the club owner. Number two, it's a temporary position. It's a mentorship, 3 to 6 months. You're going to help them develop the skills, build the business, pick their business up, move out, and open their club in profit. They already have a customer base. They already have a team in place. They have skills, and they've experienced it. That was a game changer for us. And then the next breakthrough was, and I don't know if anyone can relate to this, but we started putting people on the ambassador call, moving them along. And we were building the business with hope. And there's a difference. And when I say that, it was we were putting people onto the ambassador call, relying on the ambassador call to showcase, but to find these people who were going to become our 100 club owners. And our ratios were okay. But Dan was like, we need to get better at this. We need to get better. So we started being more proactive and teaching our trainees, our junior partners and club owners how to proactively speak to people, Rita, on the club floor, and speak to them about saying, listen, Rita, I'm not sure if you know, but we're actually going to be opening hundreds of these around the UK. And we're looking for club owners who have a passion to help people. They want to work Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. till 11, maybe earning with hard work and effort £4,000 to maybe £8,000 a month. And I'd love you to be on my team. Would you be up for having a chat? Because it's a script to move people through the career ladder. This is so important. And guess what? Do you know if Rita goes, do you know what, Claire, now's not the right time for me? The biggest compliment you can give anyone in your club is saying, I would love you on my team. And they might not be one of the 100, but they might introduce you to someone who is. But when we started teaching people the proactivity of having that conversation, our club owners went from this to this. There's a difference. Okay, are you all still with me? We've got 6 minutes to go. Okay. Now, another big game changer was, and you're going to hear it this weekend, was on the career ladder. Once we got someone who wants to be a trainee coach, we actually became super strong at activating trainee coaches. And Lee Duffy is going to train on this on Sunday. And we got really strong at it because we had a checklist. We would actively role play it. We'd do tell, show, try, do. But we weren't doing that for junior partners. So we identified that we had a blockage. We had to get super professional at activating junior partners. So the next thing was we actually created an activation checklist for junior partners. And this is Sarah. Give Sarah a massive cheer because this is her first leadership training. And all these documents are going to be shared in the UK Junior Partner and Club Owners channel on Monday. For anyone outside our group, that's where the documents will go. But then we identified with the Junior Partner Mentorship Program 3 other things. The first thing was we identified that we weren't professional about communicating expectations. So we came up with a document called the Junior Partner Agreement. And again, I can't train on this, and you're going to get it on Monday. But this was just something that we could sit with someone who's a new junior partner and get them to read and sign it. So we were all crystal clear what was expected with their activities, their behaviours, the way they would conduct themselves. And this was signed and dated and put in a folder in club. The second thing was we identified we needed to make sure that these junior partners had skills and the right mindset. So when they graduated out of our club and they opened, then they were the right mindset, they were developed, they had the skill set to be successful. And this is important. We are not in the game of just opening clubs. We are in the game of opening profitable breakfast budget clubs that are run by leaders. Okay? And we developed these 8 skills that we could work with this junior partner through Tell, Show, Try, Do over the 3 to 6 months, and we could work through ticking them off and giving them lots of recognition. But the biggest breakthrough, and I wonder if anyone can relate to this, was when a junior partner got promoted, they were highly active in inviting. So they were bringing in people. And as they were bringing in people, we were like, tick, this person wants to join the mission. This person is bringing in referrals. This person would be great as one of our club owners. But what we noticed was when they went to junior partner and they had 2 to 3 trainees and they were doing Tell, Show, Try, Do with wellness evaluations, 2-week reviews, guess what the junior partner stopped doing? Inviting. So the junior partner had all these people with the downline doing Tell, Show, Try, Do. Oh my God, I'm so busy. Claire, I've got 9 wellness evaluations this week. But when these trainees then popped to supervisor, guess what happened to the junior partner's personal volume? Ooh! Dan was like, we need to sort this. We need to help these guys from crashing with the personal volume. We have to teach them the habit and consistency of inviting. So we developed a 90-day activity plan for junior partners. And as part of the agreement to remain a junior partner is they have to bring in a minimum of 10 frontline new club members in 90 days. That's 1 a week, minimum. Now, if someone isn't frontlining and drops that ball, guess what the junior partner does? Goes back to trainee. Because we want to make sure that the culture and the habits is ingrained during that period of them 3 to 6 months, that they understand for them to grow with growth and sustainability, keep that machine going, pumping out supervisors, they have to stay in production. Does everyone get that? And when we introduced this document, oh my God, it changed our life. It changed our life because now we have professional junior partners who have the habit of consistently inviting as well as building team and juggling balls. Everyone with me? Okay. Now, last thing to finish on was we had to make sure that these junior partners were really strong in understanding they had to pre-launch their clubs. No one opens a club without doing a 6-week pre-launch. And in our group, I don't care who you are. I don't care what experience you've got, what your circumstances are. You follow the 6-week pre-launch. And here's the reason why. Yes, it's to make sure that you're doing certain amounts of inviting and you open with a certain amount of club members and team. But it's the first discipline of doing that daily 1 hour a day inviting. If you can't do it in a 6-week pre-launch, you're never going to build a royalty check. Because if you can't do it at the beginning, don't open a club. Because your club will end up empty when someone moves out. Does everyone get that? And this week, every speaker you're going to hear on stage talk about how they pre-launched the club, how many club members they opened with, and how many trainees. And this is a fundamental part of developing the leaders. And when they move out, this is what they pick up and move with. Our clubs are low startup cost, low running cost, highly profitable, world-class customer service, and we produce royalties. And this is the last bit I'm going to finish on. If you're a club owner in the room and you haven't gone through the emotional roller coaster, then you're not human, okay? And I'm going to say this because we've been there and we watch our team. In the first year, you've got to understand it's about mastering the basics, building a customer base, building your first team of 100 club members. You've also as well looking to find that first club owner. You've got to make sure that you stick to the blueprint. You don't go off piste. Your ego doesn't get in the way. You don't get lazy. You drop the ball. You drop the standards. But you will go up and down. And it's normal. It's normal. If you haven't rang your sponsor and said, and this is a Liverpool saying, so I hope you understand, my head's fell off. Yeah? In your first 6 months, then you're not human. So if you've had that moment when you think, can I do this? Is this for me? Oh my God, no one's turned up. What am I going to do? You're human. And I'm here to say to you, I transferred our courage. Keep going. Keep your head down. Focus on helping people because you will push through it. And when you do, you will create what we call a Club 100. This is the business plan for club owners. 100 active club members, 3 active supervisors, they're your junior partners, and in total it's around 12 to 13 supervisors. And when you start to do that and you start duplicating through graduating, then your royalties grow. And do you remember I showed you this at the beginning? And for us, this is what I want you to think about. The first one, your TV, is in relation to your personal production. 3 to 5 new club members a week, no excuses. No one's going to build it for you. It's our responsibility. And then the new supervisors is checking, is your machine producing supervisors? Or have you got a swollen sausage? Is your pathway constipated? Because if you're not popping out the supervisors, then you need to identify on the pathway what areas are you getting stuck on and role play and help your team. And when you produce the machine of supervisors, your royalties grow. And the duplication of royalty growth comes through the career ladder. So personal production, pathway is your supervisor machine, career ladder is your duplication and your leadership development plan. And these are my top tips to finish. Number 1, become a professional in Breakfast Budget Club. You can't be half in. If you want the results, you've got to commit 100%. You've got to be in mind, body, and soul. You've got to live it. You've got to breathe it. Number 2, set the intention from the start to create a royalty machine. Have you got a clear vision? Are you following the pathway? No shortcuts. Are you doing your weekly training structure but plugging people in? And are you following the career ladder, looking for that to guide you to find the duplication in club owners? And personal production. No machine will kick it out unless you put people in the front end. And start using the organisational analysis. Have fun with it. I think I nearly crashed BizWorks the first few times I was using it. I was doing all sorts. I was on the phone to Anne-Marie. I didn't quite understand it. But the more you go in it, the more you will see, is your business producing supervisors? But do not become a BizWorks bore. Your business doesn't grow by your eyeballs looking at BizWorks. Your business grows by you having conversations and joining the mission. And then last thing I would say is use the Junior Partner Mentorship Program to develop strong club owners and follow the 6-week pre-launch. Guys, my message from me to you this weekend is it's a long-term plan. Have you got balls? Have you got what it takes to become a professional in this model? And I'm here to tell you now, yes, you have, because you wouldn't be in the room. You need desire, you need patience, You need to have consistency. And most of all, you've got to have great work ethic. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my section. My love to you.